I got it on my computer. Sarah's responses. Sarah's responses are.
Yeah.
Print those out.
I didn't print it out for you guys. I have a copy if you want to look at it.
Who's this from?
Yeah.
That's the Township Focus, that magazine.
I saw it, but I haven't read it. Did you read it?
Well, I read part of it, but Barb had me make copies for all you guys.
You know, she's got all these other things going on, maybe.
Once you got Wayne, it's got cancer. Yeah. But I wonder, because she thought it was kidney stone.
And that's what they were treating her for.
Wow. So she really didn't get the infection then?
No, no.
Oh my God.
And she just didn't feel good, but she would spike up fever. Drink water and took Tylenol for fever one day. So to me, those are pretty mild. So maybe she'll be okay.
Well, hopefully that's all it'll be, right? Wow. That's
Basement stuff.
Yeah, basement stuff.
What's that? How we doing?
There you go.
what time did you get?
Yeah, that's a bad place.
I forgot.
That
my
girl
password, so I had to go where I got.
That was a long time ago, but
Oh, he's
yeah,
probably too young to remember.
I remember. Natalie Natalie something.
Natalie Holloway.
Holloway.
Well, she was there and some dude took her out on a boat.
That happens on every island. Sometimes it's
Right.
Probably.
It was a slow news year that year because I'll never forget. I had surgery and I was home, couldn't do nothing. That's all there was.
Oh,
I guarantee that happens.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Zach's on or something was the suspect, the main suspect.
well,
You have a good time?
Oh, yeah. We got a submarine.
Oh, really?
It was cool. We were 140 feet down, so there's like 50 of us there.
Wow.
how far- I hope you weren't far from shore.
Well, when you're 140 feet down, it don't matter if you're right next to shore. Your head's gonna explode when you go up.
I know, we are. Yes, you are.
I gotta go. I got it. Okay. Okay. I gotta go. So. That clock's wrong.
I can't believe it.
Kevin? Kevin? That clock's
I'll go
wrong.
get a new battery.
That clock is wrong. Gee
Well,
whiz.
that one I can't do nothing about.
What kind of township are we running here?
One without batteries.
I need board approval to buy a battery.
Well, that one just needs the ladder to get.
That needs to be pointed
Anyway,
out.
okay, it's 7:02, so
Yeah.
we're way behind schedule. Okay, I'd like to call to order the Milan Township Planning Commission for April 12th, 2022. First order of business is a pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, everybody is here. All are present. I've sent you earlier the meeting minutes from March 24th. And I just handed them out to you as well, in case you didn't see them before. So you had a chance to look at them. Any additions or corrections? No. Motion to
John, the one thing I didn't see in here was Sarah mentioned that she kept referencing our ordinance that she marked it up.
yes,
Did you send that to us?
yes, I did.
Today.
Today.
Oh, I bet I missed it. Okay,
Sorry about that. I should
no,
have
no,
sent,
that's
it
fine.
to you earlier, but
okay.
and I have a copy here if you want to take a quick look at it.
I can look at it. Yeah. Move to-
Okay,
Lost my privilege.
a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving March 24th meeting minutes? Aye. Okay. Let's see.
Right, they've got a head coach that hasn't.
This last meeting, so anything from the board member?
Nothing's really happening too much,
Wyatt Township.
except for the trash day is coming up here. 23rd.
Week from
8
Saturday.
to 2.
Week from Saturday. Okay. Okay, it's public comment time. And 2 minutes per person. And you can ask questions, you can make statements, but we will not answer the questions at this time. We will take note of them and answer them at a later time as appropriate. So, so anybody have any comments or questions they want to address?
I got one.
Yes, Charles.
I guess if you're gonna do the solar ordinance, and I can guess if you're gonna have to put it in, you gotta put it in, but I hate to have to solar the whole world. So can you put in, say, like a percentage of our township and not go over that in your ordinance? I don't know how big this one is. I really can tell you 1% of the community or whatnot, but I get putting it in and, you know, doing our part for green energy and stuff. But I do not want to see it taken over. Like, I think they did it in Erie and stuff where they kept adding on and get bigger and bigger. I think you should just make it so you get such a percentage and that's it. And I say that for the people that bought Gary Heath's property, I can't say it right, Solaris Company or whatever it is. It's just a business that owns that 1,400 acres now, and if they're gonna get 200 an acre from a farmer and wanted to jump over to, I don't know what they get, 1,100 for the solar. If I was a businessman, I'd be pushing it over to solar, because I don't even live here. So just something to think about, you know, so everybody, you know, these other properties don't take over and we're just surrounded by solar everywhere. I say I can see doing our part, you know, but say if you had, I don't know, what do we got, 1,000 homes or 1,500 homes in Milan Township, just, you know, could you do a solar field for the, say, 20,000 homes, you know, or whatever would max out to be roughly around here, and that would be it.
Joel, do you know how many acres there are in the township?
88,000. I believe.
That includes everything?
I
I mean,
couldn't
that's the
tell you.
total.
I got it
number, right?
laying on my desk.
Yeah, I'm just throwing a number. I don't know what your percentage would be.
I mean, if we're gonna talk about a percentage, we should know what we have for a total.
Sure. I don't know how big this project is, if it is like 1%.
They're working on the ordinance, not any project.
So that's just that's a suggestion for my ordinance is, you know, how much a percentage you can make for the solar.
Thank you, Joel. Any other questions or comments?
Consolidation,
Yes,
just keep it all in one area.
Yes.
Industrial. Put it in industrial. A certain percentage.
Any other comments or questions? Wow.
I have one.
Oh, yes.
So I know that I had brought this up before. If another company comes in, so then they're able to just come in and the ordinance starts all over again?
The process, yes.
The process starts all over again.
Yes, for that new process, like if one business comes in, you know.
Even though the township decided that you're gonna do 1% or 2%.
Well, see, that's, until that happens,
Okay,
they can do that. You know, somebody could, a wind farm could come in and say, hey, we want to put a wind farm in here. And right now, we have nothing to stop them,
Okay.
either through limitations
so
or.
we could put something in the
ordinances.
ordinance.
Well, it would probably be more in line in the master plan. That we would put a limitation, or as, because the master plan is basically what our vision for the township is. And so that would be a place to say, we want to, you know, limit this or limit that or whatever. And then that would provide a direction, a intent for the township. Because in terms of zoning, the only way you can restrict something is if you had a zoning district, or if, you know, for example, mobile homes, mobile home park, we have a particular place for that. So it's much more difficult for somebody to come in and say, I want to put a mobile home park over here. Because we got one over there in Sanford, and they want to put it here. They have to show why they should be there and reverse is over there. Second, so that's how zoning tends to restrict things. Or by saying, well, you go and have this type of business within so many feet of a church, or so many feet of this or that school, for example. And so that's a, you know, type of restriction that zoning can do. But in terms of saying, okay, only 10% of the township can be farmland, let's say, you know, that I don't, that I do not believe. I might be wrong, but I don't believe zoning could do that. So, but again, you know, from what, you know, Joel was saying, that's something that, and we've also, I alluded to the fact that this type of, we will be looking, after we get through this project and this process, we will be looking into adopting something that is, we could say, will help keep the township from being overrun by entrepreneurs. Yes, sir.
When was the last time you opened up or looked at the master plan?
2015.
2015, so is
We're a
there,
little bit overdue.
okay, so that's pretty good. Okay, so with that being said, do you make the ordinance before you put it on the master plan, or do you put it on the master plan and then make the ordinance?
The master plan is, like I
I
said,
guess the procedure.
the master plan is basically the overview, our wish, our intent for what we want the township to look like over the next 5-10 years. And then our ordinances are supposed to then dovetail with the master plan. So you could say, yes, master plan comes first, ordinances come second, but obviously they were created all at the same time, way back when. But actually, the ordinances were created first, way back when, and then the master plan was finally created. But like I said, so yes. Any other questions or comments? Yes, sir.
So I just want to bring up from last meeting, I made mention about sitting here and looking at that master plan map. And there was conversation about, you know, where can all of this solar go? And I said, well, it was obviously at some point on the master plan that somebody, this board or previous boards, designated those different colored areas for different types of projects. Am I correct in assuming all of that? I will say, yes, I am. So, since you guys can't answer that, that's fine. So I think the master plan needs to be updated before further in areas of solar development, potential solar development should be designated if it's already not done so. Thank you.
Any other? Wow, very good. We'll get something done tonight. Okay. So anything from the members here? Any comments or questions or whatever? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. We've received a proposal from the planner, the professional planner, John Enos from Carlisle and Wortman. And the township board will, this is for your information. I don't know if anybody else has also submitted proposals, but this man has. And on Thursday, the township board will be considering his contract. So,
Is this the one that was first proposed recently?
yes, our lawyer Marty Camperth recommended him, as well as some other people has recommended him. So that's for sure.
Did you get another one? Because I know
I don't know if
Okay,
anybody.
okay. 'Cause there should be another one.
There might be. I received this, and Barb has received it, but I don't know if she's received any others.
Okay, I did give her a cover.
So anyway, so that's that. I put copy of this on your desk. Yes.
Real quick, so this is kind of like a template of what any of these companies put out.
Mhm.
So do they, I'd be interested to, or I guess I would make the recommendation to the board to get a better understanding of this individual's level of engagement related to alternative energy. Because this doesn't say anything unless there's additional materials. I mean, this is like literally insert Milan Township.
Right.
So,
He is currently involved in at least 4 other townships in their solar projects.
is that gonna get communicated to the board, or how does that, like, are they come, does he come tomorrow, or?
I don't know if he's coming or not, but that's something I can share with them. I have a list of townships that he's involved with.
That's Thursday, right?
Yes. And that's the reason why Marty, our lawyer, recommended him, is because he has experience with solar projects. I'm quickly involved in.
Well, I hire contracts all the time, and, this is literally like a template.
Right,
So, and especially when you're the only bidder, kind of hard to say no. So I'm not, I don't even know this person, I don't know anything about them, I just think that, a good way to get someone to work for you is, to have them have a much more extensive, resume and of what their capabilities are. I mean,
mhm,
these contractors get away with murder with all these townships and that they, we need them.
right.
So, I would recommend that the board have some kind of addendum or something, yeah, I have that.
Okay.
Addendum that outlines some more aggressive is not the right word, more, yeah, definitive deliverables, besides just how much he's gonna charge us. Like, I mean, participate in planning commission meetings, answer memos, I can't, I literally am thinking off the top of my head right now, so I can't, per se, provide regular reports at the request of the board or the planning commission. I don't know how that, meeting the chair so that it's not just willy-nilly what we're calling it.
Right.
Anyway, that would be my recommendation. I just,
I will provide that information.
John,
Yes,
can you also provide the other townships that he's currently working with?
I have it in an email, the one list,
Okay,
and I will pull that out and have that,
okay,
and I will share it with you.
okay.
Okay. In front of you is a article from the MTA magazine. That they, the current issue on renewable energy, and it's an interesting read. So, okay. One of the things we want to do is go through the ordinance and Matthew Carey is not here. I see. Okay. Okay, for the board members, I've provided a worksheet, this document that has 3 columns that lists our ordinance, and then the middle column is proposed amendments, and then third column for additional comments.
John, is this the same?
It's the same one as what we had before,
I got like-
but I just wanted to make sure that everybody had one.
But there haven't been any changes to it, because I've got some notes on the earlier one. I'd like to work on.
Nothing significant. Sign in. Okay. So I thought what we do is go through paragraph by paragraph and decide what we like and what we don't like. So, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is this something we would want the planning decision?
Well, this is not going to be done tonight. I don't even think we'll get through half of this tonight. And you will be at our next meeting. And I'm hoping, maybe I should bring this up now. I'm hoping to have meetings every 2 weeks. If that's agreeable to everybody. In other words, in 2 weeks, have another meeting, and then have our regular meeting in May. And then 2 weeks after that, have another meeting, and so forth. Otherwise, this is going to drag out to forever.
I may have some issues with that. That's why. Just because Tuesdays are not ideal. In general.
Well, the middle of the month meetings can be anytime, any day.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we want to change it to
Friday at 5 o'clock.
Friday,
That might be the
5
only
o'clock
time
at
we
the
have-
old shack. I mean, that's.
You're a planner.
I guess, or
Yes.
so I think that, I mean, I don't mind going through it again, but I think maybe a more, I don't want to say constructive, but maybe a different way of proposing to move forward, I think would be to have either draft a memo to the future planner, whoever he or she may be, and with the list of our questions.
Okay.
And then also a memo to the attorney, because I think we had two different categories of questions to the attorney and questions to a future planner
Mhm.
slash, I think Sarah, we had kind of divided up by that. And then maybe a just general, when is the moratorium up?
There was a 6-month moratorium, and I believe it was the January meeting that there was passed. So that would be June or July. Depends on when you start you start the clock at the time of the meeting, so it'd be mid-January, so it'd be mid-July.
So so we say we get this scenario where a planner starts in May, first week of May or the second week of
I
May.
have to have them starting in our next meeting,
Um,
because the board hopefully will approve the contract.
okay, so 2 weeks from now, we present them with a list of scenarios. It takes them, I'm assuming, more than a day to get it to us. Then that's mid-May, so maybe at our second meeting. The moratorium is up in June,
So
July. There's this outstanding issue of not knowing whether, what their recommendation is going to be related to the master plan. I feel as if maybe a different use of our time would be to make the recommendation to the board to extend the moratorium. But with the addendum or the caveat of this is our commitment to some kind of timeline. So we aren't just leaving homeowners out, not knowing what the expectation is, landowners, and all of the community engagement. I think that we could go through these, and I think most of them I would have to ask the planner.
well, then like you said, what we need to do is we need to formulate some questions. And then I can communicate that as soon as the planner is on board. I can email and communicate those questions. And so that, we can, move ahead. But, but we need to go through this and decide, what are the questions? I mean, some of the questions we already know, of course, but.
Yeah.
We need to formulate them again. And just as a side note, whether the master plan is updated or not, right now the master plan makes no mention of renewable energy, none whatsoever. Whether we updated the master plan or to include renewable energy would not necessarily stall the project. This
Yeah, I
situation.
wasn't looking to stall the project.
Well, maybe I'm using the wrong word, but I'm just saying, like Sharon was asking, or I think it was you, or Joel, and the master plan would be the place where we would be best to describe how we wanted to limit the amount of renewable energy in the township. For instance, And you got, but that's not, that would be the essence of what the top master plan would probably do. Is say that, okay, this is our vision for renewables, and because of we like the ag land and so forth, we don't want more than 5% of the township to be covered with solar panels or windmills, and something like that. So, but yes,
Yeah, to kind of, I think, maybe piggyback up on what Rebecca was saying. I've done a number, good amount of research. I've had a number of good conversations about the possibility of putting language in the master plan to limit or cap the amount of land being utilized for renewable energy in this township. I don't know, I'm not yet comfortable that we can legally do that, or how that language would look in our master plan. And if we go and talk to our lawyer or to our yet to be determined planner, and he or she says, you can't really do it in that manner, then that's going to change how I approach the ordinance that we're discussing right now. And if we're going to put more protections someplace, master plan or ordinance, right now we're kind of looking at this ordinance and we're like, well, we're gonna do something with the master plan that's we'll put a magical percentage in there and we'll be safe, or it'll be controlled and we'll be protected. But if until we have that assurance, I don't even know that, looking at this ordinance, it's like, well, we can write an ordinance, but if we can't get that later on, or that's not guaranteed, then again, that changes what kind of language I would like to see in the current ordinance.
well, zoning ordinances basically describe how we're going to manage particular entities, land use. And we're prohibited from exclusionary type situations where we say, well, we can't have it at all. However, you can, put certain reasonable caveats. For example, we could create a solar, renewable energy district. Or overlay, which basically says, okay, that's something that the planner would help us with, which might, such as a plan development district, and so those are that's a different way of doing it,
And again, I
and
understand
I
that
agree
the
with you. I'm not
PDD,
sure.
the overlay
I'm
district.
not sure if
that's-
putting a percentage on that would be legal as well. But
I know, but what, because right now what we're amending, or I believe we're about to begin the process of amending, is an ordinance that right now as it stands allows it for anywhere in Ag 1.
Right.
And okay, I'm not comfortable with that.
Uh-huh.
And until we have that protection, whether again, PDD, overlay, master plan, whatever it is, whatever legality our lawyer and our planner say, yeah, you're good here. I'd feel a lot more comfortable discussing this ordinance once that was done. But I'm willing to proceed.
Well, the thing is, this ordinance, we want to make sure this ordinance is the best ordinance for managing whatever project comes in. That's the goal of the ordinance, is to be able to, for the township to make sure that it's being managed properly and protecting the township. Now, in terms of, limiting the total number, that is a different discussion from what this ordinance is intended to do.
I think the ordinance could, besides manage the project, extend protections, like if let's say our lawyer and planner came in and said, okay, we got this magical percentage, we're gonna bang, it's legal, it's kosher, we're good, we're all good with that. Then in this ordinance, I'm not so much worried about consolidation. Okay, but without that protection, then maybe I push harder for consolidation within the ordinance as it's written here. I'd feel a lot better about, maybe not consolidating it into one single entity if I knew that it could never expand.
Well,
Just
that's something
my
we
2
can,
cents.
well, that's something that we can pursue, once we, in a couple weeks, when we get the planner on board, we can pursue that with him and we can pursue that with Marty.
No,
That's good.
no,
No, sorry.
he said manage and then he said protect, so that was my question.
I mean, the thing for me, it's kind of like, what came first, the chicken or the egg on this one, and to maybe I don't think I'm restating, because I don't want to do that, what Matt said, but I agree with Matt that it's kind of a challenge. I don't find opening the master plan for just a small portion of it. I don't think, I mean, if we were to open up a master plan to redo it while we have a potential, we have all these landowners waiting for answers on their future and getting an understanding of what goes on. I don't feel like a need to open up all of the master plan, but I do feel as if the township deserves, and the public deserves, kind of an understanding, a clear understanding from us and from the board to say, this is what our vision is. And I think it takes a little bit of the fear out of it. I think it puts some parameters around what we're looking at. And it's something that we can point to, and it's a living document. It's something that can, be changed. And I gotta say that the comment that Sarah made related to the transmission lines from Holland to Monroe, that really stuck out to me, mainly because it was new information. It was from what I've already read. And I do think that it's really important that we, as a township, not only deal with our township issues, but I think it's a clear sign that we can be leaders within the state on an overall vision. And this board has done a lot of work. The citizens have done a ton of work, and there has been some difficult conversations, but for the most part, I think we've all acted, pretty okay. Most days. But I do think that there's just a lot of, and I think, and I'll say this about the applicant too, I do think that they've been exceedingly helpful in providing information and very accessible. And, you don't get that very often. So my point, wrap her up, would be the very first question that I think we should ask the planner, and is what comes first? Chicken, master plan, or ordinance?
Okay. Well, I agree with you that opening up the master plan is a very bad idea. Because it's a very long process, first of all. And second of all, it's a vision statement. And as you know, vision statements are pie in the sky type things, and they have very little basis in legal things. They are, master plans are, when somebody says, well, I don't like this ordinance and I'm suing you because of whatever this ordinance says. Basically what happens is the court basically looks at the master plan and says, well, how does this dovetail with the ordinance dovetail with what your intent is? And then they make a decision whether it measures or not. So especially since we have no even reference to renewable energies in our master plan. It's, you know, anything, anyway. But I do agree that we can form, you know, with our planner, we can formulate, you know, a vision, so to speak, you know, informal vision prior to, you know, opening up the master plan sometime in the future. And future meeting like later this year or whatever. After we move through this much farther. And so that, like you said, so that we have everybody has some kind of idea of what our intent is. You know, it's our intent to say, okay, hey, Joel said it earlier. He said, sunshine is everywhere, right? So what? Solar panels everywhere. No?
Not quite like that.
It's
Well,
your fault.
I think everybody's willing to do their part. The question is how much?
It's a,
I mean, I like the percentage idea.
right. Yeah, that's
Do we
something.
need to open the master plan to make that work? I don't know. But what it would do is it would reassure people that it can't get out of control.
Well, see, and that's why I think that if we can formulate a vision statement and run it past Marty and run it past the planner and so forth and see what the best strategy is for something like that, then we can have that on the table, you know, so that, you know, when we do circle back to the master plan, we'll be ready to insert, you know, update it. Otherwise, we're just going to get very.
Well, I'm wondering if we should update it first. Because it is our thought of where we're going, whereas the rules are where we're actually going.
Well, the rules are to manage the
Division.
land. Rules are, ordinances are to manage the projects and land use and how we protect the township.
Right.
And like I said, if, you know, it's not opening up the master plan is much more involved than just like we're trying to update the ordinance, because we have a lot of, there's a lot of paperwork involved in terms of notifications and other things. So it would basically slow this down and once the moratorium runs out, whatever ordinance is in place at the time is what we have to use. So, you know, that's, if this, you know, that's where I'm coming from. Yes, ma'am. Yes, Rebecca.
I guess, why are we afraid? What's the concern of slowing it down a bit? I mean, I believe in, you know, giving people a clear understanding. I don't, you know, we can't keep coming every 2 weeks and going through all of this. I think there needs to be an end to it. But to me, I also don't have a vision that we're gonna get this perfect for everybody. That's the value of compromise and all of those other things. But just out of kind of a, what are your concerns? That kind of explain to me the concerns related to who we need to notify and why that's cumbersome, because I don't know what that issues
So you have to
are.
notify the county, you have to notify all the townships and cities around us. And then there's a process that you have to go through that basically entails, it's not a short process in terms of timing.
For just a small amendment to the master plan.
As far as yes, as far as I know. And you either update the master plan or you don't. You know, I haven't seen anything that says, well, you just if you're gonna update one section, you can do it quickly or not. There's a
You know, I
process.
think we used to do it in East Lansing a bit. Quite a bit. So
They're professionals.
they are, you know, they have staff, so, but I do think that we would amend the master plan.
Well, that's something we, like I
And
said,
yes, I don't, but again, I relied on staff, so I
So,
have no
John?
idea what they.
yes.
If we had to open this process up, what kind of time are you talking about?
I would, well, I would anticipate that it would be 3 to 4 months. At least. In terms of going through the process of updating the master plan and getting it approved.
We're not, I mean, if we did begin the process, been here for 1 or 2 of them. I don't think we're going in like we did when was that, in 2000, we had the Grand Home Tech Highway coming through and we had TRO and all that stuff. I mean, we're not like trying to reconceptualize anything here, but I mean, once we get in and actually put our boots on the ground and get to work, I think we'd be kind of focused.
And I think, I mean, I looked up some master plan language. I mean, it's pretty boilerplate. Like, it's literally like, hey, to Joel's point, it says this many acres and in this much in farmland, this much in industrial.
Mhm.
I may even try to add in some community benefit and master plan, you know, just because it's my thing.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's all pretty boilerplate. I don't, you know.
I'm all for it
Okay, well,
as a basis for moving forward with the ordinance.
well, see that from basically what you guys have been saying is that we want the master plan to be updated and then we would move forward on the ordinance changes. Which basically will put the ordinance changes back until late summer, possibly. And the moratorium is going to be over.
They can extend.
We can extend it.
Yeah, they can extend.
They can if they want.
But I agree with you. I do think that it.
But it's also going to drag this process out. And like I said, the master plan is basically just a vision statement.
So what is our vision?
But again, I think that we're looking at some place to put some kind of protection on this township to limit potential growth.
Overgrowth.
Very good, thank you.
Okay.
You know, and if it can't go there, I mean, then we need to find someplace for it. And
I don't disagree with
Yeah,
what your intent is.
Yeah.
You know, and what you guys, you know, what you've been suggesting. I'm just suggesting that we, instead of doing that first, we do the ordinance first. We get that buttoned up and then.
Your herd is calling.
You know, first, no. So, because from what you've implied is that basically, you know, work on the master plan and table this until sometime when we're ready. And I would suggest that we would do the master plan at when we have the planner on board. Because, you know, he would be more of an expert than any of us.
Make that his first mission.
Right, next week, right? 2 weeks.
Well, whenever, I assume after Thursday, you're under contract, and so then.
Make some soup out of that.
But to your point, because I do think if we make a recommendation to the board I don't know if we have to make a recommendation to the board to open master plan or what that process is.
No, we don't.
From, but that we would make a recommendation to the board to extend the moratorium, because to your point, I think I don't want to have an ordinance that has all of these proposed amendments out there. I'm sure from an engineering standpoint, I'm sure from a lot of standpoints for the applicant and the homeowners. That they wouldn't be, if they came forward with a site plan because the moratorium was over, with a pending potential changes to the ordinance, it's probably not ideal. So I guess I would say that, depending on where the board wants to go, and I can make some assumptions, but I guess until the vote actually occurs to extend the moratorium, I think to your point, John, is if the board votes to extend the moratorium, then it would be my recommendation to move forward with a master plan review. But if the board doesn't extend the moratorium, to your point, I think we need to address the ordinance issue or the ordinance changes ASAP.
Correct.
So
That is correct, and that's. I agree.
So you're asking that the board extend the
the moratorium,
moratorium. And
for
what's
how
your-
long, I don't.
I was gonna say, do you have a suggestion for that?
I mean, that's kind of why I was talking about doing some kind of calendar of expectations. So that way, because honestly, I would need John to input on, knowing with a master plan, how long that would take, those types of things. I mean, I think an ordinance would be, an ordinance change would take at least 2 or 3 months with all of these changes. I mean, at least.
Well, at our next meeting, I can pull together a timeline for the master plan.
Okay.
And like I said, at that time, our planner can basically help walk us through it and make sure that we're doing it efficiently. Well, okay, so in terms of in that regard, what is your vision for renewable energy for the township? Yes.
I truly, I can only,
I'm gonna ask everybody that question.
I guess.
We just have this
First question.
You
You
know-
might even try the audience.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I know what they're gonna say.
Well,
No, you never know.
I know.
I don't have a full, I'll just be careful. I don't have a full opinion right now. I think that, I think Joel made the comment, and it's been made a couple of times here, that, I do think that we have a role in this world, and that, everybody does, and that we have, a responsibility to, participate in the things that make our lives better. So energy is one of those, whether it's nuclear, whether it's wind or solar, et cetera. But I also think that overall, agriculture, the issues related to renewables are falling on the backs of, that's not really formal, but basically it's falling on agricultural land, and without a long-term vision for agriculture. And as a whole, I think it makes a lot of sense for some individuals, but as a whole, it's a lot easier to put solar and wind on an open field. And I get it, but I do think that there needs to be a overall national, and I don't mind, writing a letter to members of Congress. I mean, there needs to be a national vision that isn't just this we gotta do it renewables ASAP, because right now, I know that there's entire groups of entities that are begging the nuclear power companies not to shut down after decades of freaking out about nuclear. And so there's an issue there. And so that was just a diatribe of information that really wasn't a vision, but I do think that that there's very sophisticated people in this township, and I think we can utilize that sophistication to create a pretty decent master plan that I see London Township's here that can kind of coincide with what they're doing. But that, and I will just encourage everyone, I looked at I quickly pulled it up on the Public Service Commission, where it shows the map of the transmission lines through that Sarah referenced. And it's pretty clear that like it's going to be our future.
That corridor, you mean?
The corridor. I mean, it is literally our future, and good, bad, ugly, but it definitely is something that to think about.
Well, I guess in terms of renewables, my vision is that there is a place for, for renewables, for solar, for wind. Unfortunately, I am adversely, I don't like wind energy for the township or for any place that where people are. Because to me, they're obnoxious and they have major problems. However, for solar, to me, that is much more benign use of to obtain renewable energy. And however, I do agree that we do not want it to be to inundate or to be excessive, be a place for excessive use of it, or I should say, land use. And I could easily see establishing some kind of percentage, a low percentage of the township that we would allow it to be. So I mean, that's so that's I'm recording this. I used my phone to record the meeting, right? So so that's but so anyway, I agree that establishing a percentage or some kind of limitation would be a good thing for the township, because it is, I like most of you, I like crops, and but then people need to be able to use their property as they see fit, and it's a viable use, it's a viable legal and viable use of a person's land. So I don't believe that we have the right to restrict people from properly using their property. Just like if somebody wanted to put up a hog farm next to you in the township, that's a perfectly viable use, and except that a number of people would not like that, or other entities. So anyway, anybody else would like to comment? Yes.
Yeah. As far as solar at this point almost seems like a national mandate, because it's renewable energy. You know, and it'll be good for us down the line. And I think most people realize that, and most people are willing to do their part. I mean, I'm willing to see something like a solar project come in here that is doing our part. But the question is how much is doing our part? I mean, something like Joel said with a percentage overall. Let's say we put a number on it like 5%. That would mean that the total solar in the whole township would be less 4,000 acres or less total. Complete ever. So if there was a second or a project that came in, it would, you know, you can only go so far. That would be us doing our part nationally, but still saving as much farmland as we can, you know, doing our part. If all the townships did that, there would be plenty of room for lots of projects. Maybe something like this could catch on, where everybody says, I'm willing to do this much. But we have an important consideration because of our farmland. So I'm ready to drive the plan forward with some kind of a overlay. I don't know what yet, whether it be part of the township or the whole township, just divided by the number. Anyway, that's me.
Olga, you had.
Yes, I attended a meeting where there was a person there from Consumers Energy. And their plan is to have 56,000 acres of farmland
Yep.
in Michigan for solar.
Wow,
That's one company. DTE,
another 56.
it just doesn't make sense. And it makes sense only for the investors. No one else.
You left out, that's only 1%. Golf courses are 7%.
Well, then put them on golf courses for
I
Pete's sake.
wouldn't have a problem
Put
with
them
it.
on golf course.
I'm just saying, you can draw percentages, tell both sides there.
I'm not a golfer, so it doesn't matter to me.
Anyway, yes, thank you. So, anybody else want to make their comments? Okay, yes,
Can anybody?
Yes.
Oh, I want to make a comment.
okay.
Okay, so who is going to be an enforcer? This is another thing on all this ordinance stuff, and we need somebody that's very strong and being able to watch. I want a watchdog. I want somebody rigid.
Well, you
to
can
make
apply
sure-
for the job.
I might have to, you never know. And with
That's a board problem.
is that, okay, see, and this is what
Dump
were
it
the
on us,
two,
thanks.
yeah, two things.
That's
going
not an
on.
ordinance problem.
I agree on, I think it's a great idea that you have the planner and open up the master plan. A vision of mine is, you know, when I was small, Jones School, a family came down and says, we want rural farm community. And we won't say who, but I think the generation is still here that wants that. And so they want to live in a rural area. They love to see the farming atmosphere. With this solar project that's not even here yet, but this project that is going to be applying, I think we need to take our time. I think it's something that we have to really think about, because we are looking at the future. We don't know what the future holds, okay? The Farm Act is coming about now, and they're stating that they need to put solar in industrial and keep it out of the prime ag land. They're saying, Congress or somebody was saying that they were basically, I'm losing my train of Basically, they're trying to, say that it's uneven or it's not fair because they're saying you're anti-solar and, they came back stating, no, we're not anti-solar, I'm not anti-solar, but I think it needs to be placed, and I think we only have so much land. We can't make any more land than what we have, and we have a beautiful community, and we have beautiful fields. Why do we want to wreck it with the panels? But that's all I'm gonna say, because I'm getting emotional. So,
Yes, sir.
I got educated the other day. I didn't know this, but what I was told is Michigan is the only state that has a cap. 1% can be returned to like DTE, and they will buy back off of your house. Why is that in the state of Michigan only? Every other state, you can send everything that extra that you have. If you put solar panels on your house, barn.
Blame Lansing.
yeah.
That's
But
a
that's-
And this is
a
another
township
thing, where the
issue.
That's
government
why is
doesn't
Michigan the
function.
only state?
This doesn't make sense. Why do we?
Blame Lansing.
I'm blaming our governor.
Okay.
It happened under the previous administration.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question.
I didn't know that.
Approximately 5 years ago, an ordinance was passed in this township allowing large parcels of land to be broken up in 5-acre parcels. Was there a percentage limitation put in the
Yes.
township for that?
Yes.
What is that percentage?
Okay, in the green area, the size of a standard property is 40 acres.
Mhm.
And before that ordinance that you were referring to went into effect, which was 2008, you could not split, you could only split, if on a 40-acre parcel, you could split off one buildable lot. And if you had under 40 acres and there was a house already on that 30-acre parcel, you couldn't split it. And that's the way the ordinance read at the time. And we had quite a few number of people coming and to the zoning board of appeals and asking to split their property and things like that. And so in 2008, we came up with this land division ordinance, which said that if you could split off up to 15% of your property as buildable lots. And so therefore, if you had 40 acres, you could split off six acres. Now, you could, a buildable lot in this township is 1.5 acres. And the reason for that is it's because of septic systems. And so you could have, in other words, 4 buildable lots that you could split off. They'd still have to meet the road frontage and other criteria. But we put that ordinance in, and once you split off those 6 acres, the other 34 acres could not be split any farther. That was fixed. In other words, we wanted to preserve farmland, but we also want to allow the property owner to be able to split off some property in order to gain some revenue or what, or be more flexible. And so since we did that, we haven't had one request from the zoning board of appeals for land division splits. Now, let's say, but we also knew that, well, maybe you splitting off just 6 acres was not what exactly you wanted to do. So we also made a plan, what we call Plan B, in which you could split your property. And by the way, since we did this on a percentage basis, you could have any property under 40 acres and it still applied. So if you had 20 acres, you could split off 3 acres. If you had 10 acres, you could split off 1.5 acres. So as long as you had 10 acres or more, you could split off a buildable lot. And so that allowed people, because there was a homeowner on Denison that had 39 acres, and they wanted to split off a buildable lot, and they weren't allowed to do it, because of the old rule. So, but anyway, so you could, all the way down to 10 acres, you can split off a piece of property, a buildable chunk of the property. So that, but then we said, well, wait a minute, maybe you wanted to, that really didn't work for you, you want, but so we said, plan B is that you can split your property into two pieces, any percentage, you know, 60, 40, 75, 25, we didn't care, one time. So that, in other words, if you had 35 acres and you wanted to give 20 acres to your kid or whatever, or sell it, you could do that, you know, but it'll be a one-time split. And again, the purpose is to try to preserve farmland, but allow flexibility for the property owner. And so that is the land division ordinance.
So the one-time split, is that no longer the 15%?
Correct. Like I said, the plan B is can split it into two pieces, any percentage portion you want.
So if you have 40 acres, just like was done here a couple months back, someone had 40 acres and they split off 2 5-acre lots from that 40 acres. Those 5-acre lots are no longer farmable lots. And that was passed.
When you build an acre, what we're trying to do is like you said, there was 40 acres that is split off. They were able to split off 6 acres. And that 6 acres, yes, may not be farmable. That's fine. People want to build houses
Right,
on those 6 acres. You
so
know, maybe
there's not a
4 houses.
limitation to the number of
However,
houses.
but the 34 acres that is left is still still a farmable, a major farm piece of property. So therefore, that's what, and that cannot be split off any further.
And
For
those
that
lot-
owner or for any?
For
owner?
any
For any owner, it carries in the county records.
and those
These
lots
splits
have
carry in
to
the
have
county records.
Frontage.
Mhm.
I remember trying to put the houses up on the road to preserve the farmland in the back.
Correct, yes, yes, you know, they have.
Do we reduce that? It was 220. Do we go down to 180? It's irrelevant.
So, yes, so you still have to meet road frontage, you know, and the piece of the properties have to be on the road. You know, they can't be out in the, you know, landlocked. So, yes, sure.
You say that it can be just an acre, because I know
Acre and a half.
when we built, we had to have 5 acres because we had to put a septic, because it didn't work, so we had to put our septic field in, and then we had to make sure we showed another septic, because if this one fails in 25 years, we'd have to put another one in so that we would have enough room.
Oh, we were told a long time ago that acre and a half was sufficient
Okay, I didn't know.
for secondary septic.
Septic, okay.
So-
Good to know.
So did I answer your question? Okay, so
Wait, we have a question. I thought, I could see that question all over your face.
Yeah.
It wasn't more, it's not a question, it's more of a statement regarding the back and forth of what do we do first, the master plan or the ordinance? I highly encourage you talk to the planner, which Carlisle Workman is a great company, just letting you know. I highly encourage you to talk to them on what to do. Because if you do not cap this and you pass this ordinance and then you go and try to cap it, whatever applications you receive, you cannot turn down. So until let's say this ordinance goes into effect and you get 20 applications to put solar in your township and you don't have a cap on it, you cannot say no because you don't have a limitation.
I think that's kind of what happened in Augusta.
So I encourage you to talk with the planner on, so you don't put the cart before the horse kind of thing. And that way you can limit it down like you guys are talking about, and like, you know, I know the residents would much prefer, you know. I would just hate to see that happen. And regarding the moratorium, London went through something very similar. We had a moratorium on something totally different. But normally moratoriums are not extended until it gets to the point of expiration. So I doubt the board would extend it right now. And you have to be very careful because you guys had already passed an ordinance to allow for the solar fields or the solar farms or whatever you want to call them. So putting another moratorium, it could possibly open the township up to lawsuits, because at that point, the property owners who are waiting for this to go through, they could very well say that you're causing them damages, monetary damages, by extending the moratorium. So I'm just kind of like throwing that thought out there, just to get you thinking. And I know it's kind of like a huge mess where you're trying to complete so many things at once, and you know, but just so you guys have that in mind too, of not saying to rush through anything, but if you all do your due diligence and you know, you read the master plan and do what you can at home and come prepared with, you know, hey, I don't agree with this, or I think this needs to be changed, it'll go a lot faster. And with the extra workshops that you guys are going to be doing, I think that you could almost work on them somewhat simultaneously. But I would definitely talk to the planner about how to conquer that cap, that percentage.
Well, assuming that the township board approves his contract, I'll be talking to him on Friday. So, yes, sir.
For me.
Oh, no, behind you.
I was just going to make a suggestion. You guys want to put a cap on it? Put a cap on it. 2% of the total township. Right now, do it wrong.
Unfortunately, well, we can't do that. But anyway, yes, sir. Thank you.
2% would save a lot of farmland. You want to know something? Augusta Township. There's land over there that's owned by developers, land developers. That's not farmers. There's farming. It's farming. The streets come right up to the farm field. The developers waiting. Do we want that in our township?
No,
There's farmland totally gone.
We have some developers on our farm that are farming as well in this township. So, any other, yes?
Just Brian O'Shea is the other solar. Just got a couple of comments off of what other folks were saying. I mean, I think the township, I was looking at the master plan, I think something we said 80,000 acres. I think it's actually about 22,500 acres. So there's 36 sections, 640 acres in a section.
I think it's a little less.
It's a little less than full, yeah. But there's, what I looked at in the master plan, and you know, master plan's a couple years old, was there's about 22,000 acres in the township, and about 20,000 acres of farmland. So that's, you know, the ag land, cropland, plus, you know, woodland and that kind of stuff. And this conversation about what comes first, the ordinance or the master plan, is very familiar to us, because we actually just went through this with another township in another part of the state. But at the same time, they had approved 2 very small solar projects that were, you know, a couple of acres. And we were coming in with a larger project, similar size to this, 150 megawatts. And they, I think, came to that same determination that Bob said, like, we're willing to do our part. And, you know, we've done 2 small projects. We're probably gonna do this big one. You know, we think that's about right. Let's, while we're also refreshing our ordinance, let's make a few finishing touches on the master plan, factor in solar, and add this idea of a, you know, a solar maximum or a solar cap, or that level where we've done our part. And I think they said there's X thousand acres of land that might be suitable for solar. We think no more than 10 to 15% of that should actually be developed for solar. And they incorporated that in their master plan. And they actually did that at the same time as they were going through their ordinance. They had their plan retained, and they were kind of in dual purpose going through discussing those 2 things. So I only offer that up as that this isn't a unique conversation. We've definitely seen this before. And that idea of, you know, somewhere in that realm of 10% of ag land being is a common cap people are thinking of is not necessarily unusual. So that was the only point I wanted to make, other than to, to Kevin's point and Olga's point, there is a lot of discussion of solar on farmland, on ag land, on flat grassland, as well as brownfields throughout the state. But there are 10 million acres of farmland in Michigan. So even if those massive solar development plans of DTE and consumers were fully realized and they fully build out all the solar they want to build out, that's still only 1% of agricultural land in the state, which is a lot. I mean, that's a lot of land, but it's in a proportion of all the ag land in the state spread out over lots of townships doing their part, is a much smaller, impact in one spot. And other than that, I just was going to say, if there's other questions on particular aspects of the ordinance that, came up during the workshop or came up last time in regards to whether it's drainage, whether it's tree planting, ground cover, things like that, both Connor and I are here and are happy to answer any questions from the board if those come up. Thank you.
Can I have a follow-up question?
Of course.
Right, Brent, what was the township, you mentioned a township that just did that, what was there?
Yeah, this is Ovid Township, south of the city of Coldwater. We're have a
I'm
similar to
Very
township.
aware of it.
All right.
Very aware. What is it called?
Ovid Township and Coldwater Township are kind of a similarly situated project. that's south-
Ovid
south
and
of-
Coldwater?
And it's, our project is in both townships. They have different ordinances,
that's
different
right, okay.
rules, but Ovid Township is the one that went through this, did the master plan at the same time that they did their ordinance update.
And what count, is that Hillsdale?
Branch County.
Oh, it's Branch County.
I think there's like a city of Ovid, separate from
City is,
Ovid
but that's
Township.
up in
Right,
Clinton,
yeah.
oh, that's in Clinton.
Yeah.
We have a very large dairy farm. if anyone wants to go. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If I may, I just wanted to say, we're talking about only like 5%, right? So put yourself into the perspective of somebody who's, higher up in our government and is looking at all these little townships in Michigan. We only got our county doing 5%. Well, to them, that doesn't seem a lot. To us, it does seem like a lot because we live here, right? But actually look at the whole part of our township and, it's only 5%. It's really not that big of a deal if it's only 5%. I just want, think about it in that kind of perspective as well.
Thank you. Okay. Well, with that, like I said, I will discuss this with the planner if he's on board on Friday.
Well, we'll try.
And we'll go from there.
You have any comments on that, Olga?
No.
Cool.
So,
In the essence of time or comments, public comments, I just wanted to let the board know that Matt introduced me to the superintendent of Milan Schools I kept having these discussions about community benefit, and I didn't want them to, I wanted to get his feedback on a potential community benefit plan related to the schools. And then also just kind of get his understanding of just general Milan school scholarships and things like that. So for awareness, we had that meeting. He recommended that we engage with the Monroe County Community Foundation, which actually runs most of Milan schools scholarship opportunities and other types of things. So I have reached out to the chair of the Monroe Community Fund to get a better understanding of how that would play out. So I guess just for awareness.
okay. 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 So, you mentioned that Tuesdays are bad for you.
I mean, they're just not ideal, particularly to stay up till 11:30 or 12 o'clock at night. But I mean, there really isn't a good day. Mondays are better, but there isn't really a good day. Mondays and Thursdays are better. But I'm only one Monday, so.
How about you guys?
I have a flexible schedule.
I'm flexible.
Every day Saturday to you and me.
Nice, I want to reach across the table, John. I got 4 full-time jobs right now.
So, any day.
I mean, I
bad for you, Ben?
Yeah, I would, and again, this is just me, and I will do what's best for the common good, but I would prefer you any day, I'm good any day. Be better if we could move it up to like 6 and I'm up at 4:30. It's.
That's sad.
That's
real sad.
I mean, by the time I get home and get wound down, it's Wednesdays are always rough, but again, I'll do what's best.
It's 6, it's 6 be good for you, Rebecca? Or is
That's
that-
assuming we got out earlier. I mean, some of these meetings I've been to. I mean, it's.
Or is that?
you know, if it's Monday at 6, it's better. Tuesday, I mean, what did I call Pat? I'm still in Howell at 5:45, so. Yeah, no, 6 probably isn't ideal for a Tuesday.
Well, Monday, you said Monday.
Monday would be better, yeah. And if 6 o'clock is fine on Monday.
What about you guys?
That's fine by me. I can arrange my schedule,
Hey,
make it work.
6 is fine with me. I know, so. Okay.
Let's see.
Hmm?
Right behind you.
Oh. Okay, today is the 12th. Boy. It'd have to be either the 18th or the 2nd of May. See, our meeting is on the 10th of May, so.
I'll make it 18th.
Well, that might be kind of tight for the planner because
Oh,
you
yeah,
won't be
you're
on
right. That's true.
on board until,
Right.
and see, the reason why the 25th is bad is because a number of people are going to be gone that week up to Lansing. So
Is that the township?
MTA meeting, yes, conference. Is there later in the week, like Thursday or Friday?
Thursday is fine too.
Matt?
Friday is open.
I believe.
I'm
Thursday
not
works.
talking like the 21st. I'm thinking the 21st or 22nd.
Fine by me. I can make it work.
Okay, that, I think that would, 21st is good. Okay,
John, just so you know, we gotta get that published if there's a regular meetings and not.
well, it'll be a workshop, so it'll just be a workshop,
Okay,
Open to the public.
of course.
yeah.
So 21st, excellent.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. And I think by that time, we can get, like I said, planner is notified on Friday that he's got another job. And,
Yes, we can do
right,
on Thursday.
okay, excellent.
I got a question, John.
Yes,
If the planner can't make it, are you still gonna have it and kind of just come and I'll sit here and decide what do we do?
well,
Or,
that's,
you know, if he says, hey, I can't make it until May 1st or whatever, or after May, you know,
well then,
no offense.
no, I
I'm
agree.
coming,
Good question.
but
That's a good
I just
question.
hate to
and
see you coming.
That's why on Friday, if the board does it, I mean, if the board hires him. Then on Friday, I will talk to him and find out what his schedule is. And I know I have gotten a good idea of what these guys can handle. So, I mean, Pat, Bob and myself are very flexible, so. So anyway, yes, then I'll confirm with everybody by Monday.
All right.
So,
Sounds good.
yes,
I guess we're still in the discussion phase. I do think I'd like to I don't know if I want, I don't know if it's helpful at all, because I think most of the board watches, and we've got 2 of them here. But I do think,
Got 3 of them.
That's
4.
oh, sorry, I always forget, I just.
3 of
think
them.
The
There's 3 of
trustees,
us.
sorry. Sorry.
That's okay.
Disappeared.
But that I guess I would like to maybe make a motion to recommend an extension of the moratorium. Just to formalize it, to make sure that it's, and to take a vote from all of us and how we all feel. And make sure that it's a clear communication to the board. And I would like to make, I guess, make a motion to
Recommend that the board extends
extend
the
the
moratorium
moratorium.
on accepting applications for renewable energy projects.
I would say, as far as a time frame, I don't have a particular, I'm just throwing December out there because it's another 6 months. But that's just my thought process.
Okay.
Just kind of-
Again, if you talk to his planner on the 18th or the 21st, if he's available, can he wait and recommend, see what he recommended? Because he might have
But
a,
a planning commission's recommendation isn't binding.
I know, I'm just
Yeah, no,
just throwing it
I
out there,
agree.
that he would have a more of an idea of how long things take is all.
Oh, I guess then to amend my, to recommend a moratorium extension based off of the planner's recommendations for a timeline, a reasonable timeline.
Well, the board will not be able to, since the board would then have to wait till May for their extension. Because
Yeah, no, good point. I mean, I'm just trying to make it clear, or not make it clear, but make a position known for all of the different parties involved. I mean,
I think
I don't
everybody
wanna
already
get-
knows.
Okay.
Because they're here. But I mean, if you want to make a motion, that's fine.
yeah,
You know, but on the other hand, I think everybody,
yeah,
is aware.
I know.
So are you?
I'd like to make a motion
Okay.
to extend the moratorium for the board to extend the moratorium.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Anybody want to make any comments?
Can you rescind a moratorium if you have one in place and you're
Yes.
happy with the way things are, can you live there?
I mean, even if we get a planner and we get the planner says it was a good idea, the board still isn't gonna be able to do it before May, yes,
Why?
because you have a meeting Thursday and then a month after that, the board meeting. And we don't work in between the meetings.
So why couldn't you do it on Thursday? I'm not arguing with you. I was just curious why you couldn't do it on Thursday.
Because we were gonna consult with the planner, remember?
Oh, I took that part out of that thing. That was Kevin's suggestion. I took it to heart, but I took it out of my
Well,
recommendation because I think it,
I
I did, I
don't,
took it
I
to
don't
heart.
think,
Timeline.
I don't
Yes.
think personally, I'm gonna be ready to be extending that the moratorium for like May. So. That's my only comment.
The other comment that I have is that extending the moratorium at this time versus extending it in June or July when it's about to expire is
Right.
maybe premature and potentially legalist, legal potential problems.
Also,
Um,
you're a lawyer.
I don't know. I was just going on a comment from somebody that, you know, that. So anyway, I don't know if that would be the case or not. So, all in favor of recommending to that the board extend the moratorium on renewable energy projects applications, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Aye. So 3-4, the moratorium, and 2 against, the motion passes. Okay, anything else? I think we're gonna get done early tonight.
Sounds good.
We're adjourned.
And one more. On cleanup day, can we bring tires?
No, no liquids or tires.
gotta take that to London.
Hey, Brian.
Just don't eat a dish like everybody else.
I wish we could do tires there, but we can't.